Hi, Stacy. Glad you're here. Perfect. All right. Hello and welcome to day 2 of the Potent Profitability Challenge. Well, actually, I called it a project so that it would sound really good, but it is a tongue twister, isn't it? The Potent Profitability Project. My goal for these next 5 days, or these 5 days total, is to help those of us struggling to make our goals online. And I have discovered that what it really takes, well, again, I'm not the expert, but I am teaching what I know. And I had my first $10,000 in sales last month. And so I am thrilled about that. And I'm going to teach you what works and what doesn't, and what I did to finally reach that goal. And to sum it all up, it's really that I discovered my potency, that I tapped into my potency and I showed up in my potency. And so I'm going to share with you a couple things. So yesterday I felt very off. I don't know if you noticed. I don't know if you felt it too. I felt very off. And today we're talking about energy. I'm going to take my necklace off because it's making noise and it's bothering me. Yesterday we talked about believing in yourself so that you can have the energy of attracting what it is that you want, right? But if you don't believe in yourself, then it's really hard to have that energy. And so today we're going to talk more about that. Today is the energetic piece. Yesterday was the belief piece. But I want to talk to you about what happened to me yesterday. And I want you to kind of take it in and say, how are you showing up in the same way, in a similar way? And so yesterday, I started talking about believing in yourself, which is something that I've talked a lot about. And I feel comfortable talking about this, but when I step into talking about money and talking about like a certain level that I've reached and to help other people reach that same level, I started having these really weird problems, these really weird, I was almost like, what's it called? Self-sabotage, limiting beliefs, like all of that started creeping in yesterday. And I really felt like I did a crummy job. And I talked to someone and they gave me feedback and they said that I did great and that they were really intrigued, which was something that they're not usually. Like, they were listening to every word. And for me, I was like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting because I didn't think it was worth it. So what I did yesterday and today was a little practice that I want to recommend that you do as well. So when we're trying to grow online, or really in any business, as we try to grow, there's always some self-sabotaging behaviors that will sneak in and will keep us from taking those forward steps. And the self-sabotage definitely snuck in for me yesterday. And so I want to share this with you to help you be able to recognize your own saboteur. Because when we can recognize our saboteur for who it is and what it's up to, then we can nip it in the bud. And so I'm hoping that today's message, I have nipped my saboteur in the butt, because the saboteur came up in every level of launching this 5-day challenge. And you can see that in the attendance rate. You can see that in how I showed up yesterday, my follow-up, my emails. A lot of things got swept under the rug. A lot of things got missed and just like pushed off to the side. And I really have not done my best job in this 5-day challenge. And so what that has done also is it's like perpetuating this saboteur, like, oh my gosh, you should have done better. You should have sent that email. Nobody's going to listen to you. Like it just perpetuates it. And so instead, I am teaching myself grace today. I'm recognizing those patterns and I'm learning from them. And that's really what we want to do, is learn from our patterns and see how we can autocorrect them. And so yesterday, I'm going to share this because I think it's appropriate when you're trying to show up with really good energy. So yesterday we talked about belief system, right? Do you believe in yourself? Do you believe in that you have something valuable to say? Do you believe that hi Mousley, nice to see you, glad you're here. Do you believe that people want to hear you? Do you believe that your message is meaningful and that it's life-changing? So when you can believe all those things, then it's easier to put yourself out there. But again, there's energy that is behind all of that. And my energy yesterday was very off. And so here's what I did. After the message that I showed and I got off the video and I felt really yucky, I made a list of all the things that came up for me while I was teaching yesterday's lesson. And these were all of my thoughts that came up. And maybe not even all of them, but the ones that I remember. So I'm going to read them to you. And you can see, like, if you show up with these thoughts as the background of how you're showing up, it's going to mess you up. And so I was very off yesterday. So here are the thoughts that, as I reflect back, I need to rush. So yesterday I thought, oh, I'm this potent guru. So that means that if there's something that I need to say and most people it would take them an hour, because I'm trying to be potent, I need to make sure I can do this message in 30 minutes, right? So that was running the show. Like I felt like I had to, I was in a hurry to speak my message. I also thought that the people showing up were better than me. So I had like imposter syndrome, and I was really thinking like, who am I? Who am I to be speaking this message? Does that ever happen to you? Who are you? I thought, I'm not good enough. I just reached my goal of 10,000 in a month. Like, don't you think I should repeat it like several times before I can really tell people what worked? So I had all of that, like, just because I made it doesn't mean I should be sharing with everybody how I did it. And then I could recognize, as I was showing up, I could recognize that my energy was off. And so then it was like, I kept telling myself, my energy's off, my energy's off. And I was trying to force it to be on, and I felt very fake. Like if I look back at the tone of my voice, it felt very, very fake. And it was very yucky. And I just I couldn't wait to get off the computer. Does that ever happen to you guys? So then I started telling myself, gosh, I should have been more prepared. I should have had my notes planned out. I should have had exactly what I'm going to say. And while that is true, I also want to, I've also been practicing getting to a place where I can show up without needing to look at my notes and to just authentically channel a message. We already know what we want to say. It's already tapped in. I've been teaching this. I've been teaching this over the last couple of years, to trust yourself, to channel, to let your intuition guide you. And yesterday I had totally shut off my intuition, and I was just like, I felt like I was just rambling. And so, yes, maybe I should have been more prepared. But if I wasn't prepared to my level, I need to remember that I can channel the message, that I know what I need to say. That knowledge and wisdom is already within, and it's already within you too. We forget that. Then I thought, like, okay, I'm pausing. I'm speaking too slow. And when I'm trying to come up with the words that I need to say, my pauses are too long. What is everyone going to think? And then someone left. Someone, I had 9 people in the room, and then all of a sudden it was 8. And I was like, oh no, someone left because I'm boring them, right? So I'm making up stories of why people were in the room. And I kept telling myself, gosh, it sounds like I'm just rambling, yada, yada, yada. Then I made up a story that you guys were judging me. And then I kept beating myself up that I was 5 minutes late because my computer had to restart. So all these things came up yesterday. And you can see how just one of those would throw your energy off. So it's really important that we manage our energy by managing all of these thoughts that are coming up. And so what I did today to shift this energy so that I could show up as more aligned with my higher self, more able to attract and magnetize the next people that are here to work with me. And the more I'm here to support you, I had to, if I want to support you, I really needed to recalibrate to a new level, a new energy. And so here is what I shifted those thoughts and I calibrated to these new beliefs today. And I want you to take what serves you. Maybe you'll take some notes, and if you see any of these patterns showing up behind the scenes as you go live, if you try to run your 5-day challenge, as you get on sales calls, as you put your messages out there, it's important to calibrate. You do those too, Stacey. Yeah. And it's our responsibility as potent healers to manage our energy and to leave those programs at the door. Leave them, get rid of them, and here I am. They were running the show yesterday, but I don't have to let them run the show for the next 5 days. I don't need to let them run the show anymore. I got off the computer, I recognized them. And what's really amazing too is if we feel one of these beliefs coming in, or one of these programs that we don't like, we can also shift them in the moment. Sometimes just taking a deep breath, right? Go, oh, okay, I feel it coming on. I feel like I'm scared. I'm scared to say the next thing I'm going to say. We can be in tune with that energy that's starting to creep up, and we can make the choice in the moment to shift it. Sometimes just breathing, sometimes allowing thoughts to go away, going, okay, that doesn't serve me. How can I shift that so it does serve me? So here's the beliefs that I exchanged and created for today's message. I show up present, clear-headed, and confident to channel the perfect message. Time is irrelevant when I'm being my most potent self. And this makes me think too, time is irrelevant when you're trusting your intuition. Time is irrelevant to the universe. I mean, the universe is bringing the right people in front of me, in front of you. The universe is bringing all the right people together at the perfect time. And time is out of our control. So when I'm thinking, oh, I'm rushing or I'm talking too slow, it's irrelevant. When you're being you and you're being your potent self and you're channeling a message, time doesn't matter. When people's lives and businesses need to change, time doesn't matter. I mean, it does. I mean, time does matter, but it doesn't matter. If that makes sense. We don't have time to waste, but also if you're being your most potent, present, congruent, authentic, aligned self and you're channeling the perfect message, then you're going to do it at the perfect pace. It doesn't matter. Hey, Jill, glad to see you. Also, so I had this thought that like you guys were showing up and you're better than me and you're judging me. Like I had all of those stupid thoughts, and I feel like we're all equal and we're all here to support one another. And I learn from you and you learn from me, and we all have something valuable to bring to the table, whether we're students or coaches or whatever. Like I learn from my coaching clients all the time. And so this was a message, like a reminder, is that we are all evolving together and we're always learning from one another, regardless of like what levels we're on. It doesn't matter. My levels are completely like that doesn't even matter, whatever levels we're on, because there's no I want to say like there's no like defining line, right? It's invisible. And it doesn't matter. That's where comparison comes in, and comparison will kill the show. If you're comparing yourself to someone else, you can't be potent. That's for sure. You can't be potent when you're comparing yourself to someone else, thinking they're more potent than you. So then you, like, that just continues that self-sabotaging cycle. So there's just a few more beliefs and they're like affirmations, but again, you have to calibrate your energy to these affirmations, and you have to replace the bad energy with the new energy, upgrade. So here's just a few more. I choose how I feel. So yesterday I was choosing to feel like an imposter. I was choosing to feel rushed. I was choosing to feel off. And in a moment, you can shift that. I choose to feel centered. I choose to feel grounded. And call that in and calibrate your energy to that belief. I speak with purpose. My friend, that feels like the most potent thing that I could remind myself every single day, because I love speaking. I know that speaking is how I'm going to fulfill my mission, my earthly assignments. Speaking is how I'm going to do it, because of there's a story I've shared before, but in 2016 I was really looking for some direction of how do I get to my dreams? How do I advance in life? How do I advance in business? What's next for me? I was very timid, and I didn't like being on camera. I could barely finish complete sentences, and I sometimes still have that problem. But I was looking for the one thing that if I did this one thing, it would change everything in my life and business. And I went to this meditation retreat, and we were chanting and meditating for all day. We were meditating and chanting and going back and forth. And there was this one time we were chanting. I've shared this story before. And something arose from within me, this little tiny like seed from my belly. There was like this message, this voice that said, speak, speak, speak. And it was a whisper at first. And then the more I chanted, the more it was like waking up and percolating, and it was like bubbling up from within me, and it became very loud, and it was taking over my whole body. I was sweating, and I just felt like it felt like a drum. Speak, 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 speak. And I just knew, like, oh my gosh, I have to start speaking because I have so much to say. And that's never stopped. Like, I'm always in my head, but it's also one of my greatest challenges. So your dreams aren't here to be easy, right? But these lessons that we learn along the way of calibrating our energy, right? Calibrating our energy to our dreams. When I decided that I speak with purpose, it's much easier to show up and speak today. Every word has a meaning. Every word has a reason. And that helps me because, here, what we have to do is tap into our potency to reach our next level of profitability. We have to energetically reach the next level of the potency that is ready to emerge. And I really think that that's what happened for me last month in creating, in attracting $10,000 in sales, was I really allowed my potency to emerge. I gave myself permission to be congruent with my purpose. I hope that's making sense. Let me know how this is helpful so far. I'm almost done. And one of the most important beliefs that I'm recalibrating to, and it's very appropriate for today because there is a 50% reduction in show up rate. Yesterday I had about 9 or 10 people on. Today I have about 5. And I could be making up stories in my head that that's not good enough. Like, oh, it's because I messed up yesterday. I could be thinking like, well, nobody wants to work with me anyways, so maybe I should just stop this 5-day project as we go. You know, I could be having all of those stories in my head. But one thing that I am calibrating to that I didn't write down is that it's quality over quantity. So sometimes that's important to remember. But the most important thing to remember is that the turnout, the show up rate, the results, the event, it's always perfect. The turnout is always perfect. Even if there's just one person there, whether there's 5 people there, the turnout is always perfect for some reason, right? It's perfect because you said the right thing. It's perfect because you learned the right lesson. It's perfect because it reached the right people at the right time. It's perfect because whether it was as good as you wanted it to be or not as good as you wanted it to be, it's still perfect. Everything is always perfect, right? And there's always tomorrow. So that has helped me recalibrate and just show up more present, more focused, more grounded. I also feel more supportive. I feel like this message is perfect and supportive and hopefully helping you see that your potency is just like a recalibration away. Like all you have to do is look at your higher self. Look at your next version of yourself that like we have this we hold ourselves to a certain image, don't we? We see what we're capable of. We see the potential, we see the dreams, we see that level that we want, right? We desire it. Well, my friend, the suffering that we create in our lives and our business is because of this gap. We see this higher version of ourselves, but we know that we're playing small. And so we beat ourselves up because we're not here yet. So what we have to do is calibrate to the energy of being here. And then we show up that way. So we stop beating ourselves up. So we stop playing small. This is your potent version of yourself up here. And you might be showing up right here, right now. It's just a choice. It's just a choice. You are perfect. You don't need to learn anything else. You don't need to do anything else. You just need to be. You need to be all of you. You need to be your most potent self. It's just a choice. It's a choice to say, okay, you don't need to make $1 million first. You don't need to have 1,000 fans first. You don't need to, what is the word? You don't need to prove to anybody. Your potency is already within. Yesterday, I might not have been as potent as I should have been or wanted to be, but it was perfect because I learned, oh yeah, that didn't feel right. Today, I'm going to calibrate to a new level. And I'm going to keep reminding myself that that is just a choice, the choice. Shara writes, how do we stay in higher energy and vibration or activate quickly? That's a good question. So I'll share just a few things that helped me today. And then again, it's a practice, right? Like, how do we lose weight? How do we feel good every day? How do we choose happiness? How do we get along with our husband? How do we be a good mom? How do we be a good business owner? Like, all of these things are just a practice, and they're all choices. And the more you practice and the more you show up and consistently do it, the better and better and better and better and better you're going to get. And so today I woke up without an alarm clock, and I laid in bed and I imagined showing up today in a good mood. I imagined the energy that I wanted to call in. I imagined having fun. So another thing is, this happens a lot. This has happened a lot for me over the last 4 years, dabbling in my online business, and then finally feeling like I have something to show for all that work. I just said it, the work, right? We think that whatever business we're getting into, or whatever work we're here to do, that it has to be hard, that it needs to feel like work, that we need to follow these exact steps, that we need to do all of these things. Your potent purpose should feel good. It should just flow out of you. It should, like, you make the rules. That's what I love about being not only a brick and mortar entrepreneur, but an online entrepreneur, just an entrepreneur in general. We make the rules, guys. We get to decide how we show up for our business, how we serve our people. If something feels yucky, we don't have to do it. Well, let me also say, yesterday I felt yucky in a live video, but I see myself doing good on live videos. Like, that feels good. So I'm not going to let the one time that it felt yucky to say, oh, that felt yucky, maybe I shouldn't do it. No, I'm going to calibrate to a new level that I show up on so that it feels more authentic, more aligned, more congruent. So it's just a practice. It's just a practice, and then you put yourself out there and you do it. Your confidence grows. And then what's also like fun to play around with is, like, there's always these, and we're going to talk about this tomorrow. So tomorrow we're going to talk about being bold. Right. So we talked about believing in yourself on day 1. Today, day 2, we're talking about the energy of how we need to show up in our most potent self and just choose. But then there's also fear that comes in, because sometimes our potency can be scary, and it can be like, oh wow, that's uncharted territory. I've never said that before on camera. What are people going to think of me? Right? There's all of these things like, I've never been that confident online before. Like, I'm scared to call that in. So tomorrow we're going to talk about taking bold action, because yes, sometimes our potency can be very scary. The energy of how we see ourselves, right? Unfiltered, unapologetic, the way that we can visualize our higher self running the show, that feels really good, but also in our humanness, it feels very scary. So tomorrow we're going to talk about how that spiritual side, the spiritual side who's like unafraid, unapologetic, perfect, poised, potent, purposeful, all of that. And then our human selves who's like afraid and nervous and worried about what people think. How to really, with all of your boldness, step into this without being afraid. So that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. Char, did I answer your question about how to activate quickly, how to get better at that? How do we stay in that higher energy? It's definitely a choice. Meditation helps. And then also, there's all of these things, and I'll actually email that to you. There's this list that I have of all these things that will bring your energy down, and then all of these things that will bring your energy up. And so it's important, right? It's like we have an energy bank account. We're either taking from this energy bank account, or we're adding to our energy bank account, and we're raising our vibration. I'm not going to lie. On Sunday night, the night before day one, I had 2 alcoholic beverages, and I do think that showed up and affected me on day one. Like, I kind of felt hungover. I felt like and on top of everything else that was going through my head, I kind of felt hungover. And yeah, that's going to affect your energy. And yesterday I had 1 glass of wine way before bed, and then I drank lots of water. So really, if I want to be my most potent self, I have to tell myself, okay, bye alcohol. You're not doing me any help here. But again, it's a human choice that I have to make. It's a human struggle, right? It's a human struggle because I like my wine. But I also see my higher self running the show, and she doesn't have a hangover. She doesn't play small. She wakes up feeling great because she doesn't need wine to feel good. She doesn't need wine to calm down and relax. So again, it's just that journey, that push, pull, and an experience. So that is me sharing vulnerably. I hope that was helpful. I hope that you liked this message today. Tomorrow, we'll show up at the same time, and we'll talk about taking bold action. And I also want to give you a homework assignment, because that is what you do in a challenge if you feel like it. Because again, you make the rules, you could do whatever you want. I want to encourage you to make a list of all the things that come up for you, just like I did here. What comes up for you? What came up yesterday for me? So think back to maybe one of the most recent times that you tried to put yourself out there in a bigger and better way, and you feel like it really turned into a flop. What I'd love for you to do is write down all of those energies that were showing up, and then rewrite a new list of beliefs that you want to calibrate to. I loved this one. I speak with purpose. I love that so much. So I want to help you show up and speak and do your most meaningful work with purpose and potency, so that you have a higher chance of profiting like you are meant to. And so we're all in this together. Thank you so much for showing up today, not only for yourself, but for the people I know you're here to serve. I know you get up every single morning wondering how you can help more people in a bigger and better way. I also want to offer a free potency audit. So I'll talk more about that tomorrow and Friday. But if you are keeping notes and keeping track and showing up each day for this challenge, I want to offer you a free potency audit. So I'll tell you more about what that is, what that would look like, and how you can participate. But what that would be is we would get on the phone and we would talk about the things that came up for you in these 5 days. And while I'm supporting the group in this bigger message, I will support you individually, and we'll really dive into some quick shifts that you can make. Maybe we will tap into what's really robbing you from your potency, and how we can shift that quickly so that you can get the results that you want in your life and business. So I'm excited to tell you more about that tomorrow. Let me know if you have any questions along the way. Many of you have been reaching out via Facebook message, so let me know how this is helpful, any big ahas. It really does help to hear from you, because that's like live feedback that I can take and apply to making my message even more potent. So if you feel called to share something, please don't be afraid. I do hope to be approachable and helpful for all of you. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we will talk soon. Have a great rest of your day.